Here, I'll face backwards. How's that sound, guys? Okay. All right. So we are right at noon. I feel like we could probably get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're very excited to talk about the Perot Jain TechLab series of programs with you all. Before we get started, I thought our core staff team could do some introductions first so that you know who helps support these programs. So I will go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Krista Deneau. I'm a program manager here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, and I help with the recruiting process. So Al, since you are in person, I will hand it over to you.
Hi, I'm Al DeBryden. I'm a retired engineer. I work part-time for Allison, helping you guys with your projects, getting things you need, space you need, any kind, software packages or whatever it is. I can give you advice on project management kind of thing to get your project going and working. Yeah, I'm available. I come in once or twice a week. Otherwise, I'm available online all the time. Anytime you want to ask me a question, that's just I'm a support person here for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Al. Nick, Allison?
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Morris. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurial Practice here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, and I happily get to direct all the experiential programs, including the Perot Jain TechLab programs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allison Smith. My role with the Perot Jain TechLab Series, I work in the Center for Entrepreneurship, and I will interact with you because I'm in charge of making sure you have the resources you need. That could be equipment for your projects or space for your projects, laptops, that sort of thing. So we're a close-knit team, the four of us, and we're all here to support.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And again, welcome those of you who are entering online and in person. But we are here to talk to you about the Perot Jain TechLab series, which we are recruiting for right now. Applications are open through the 21st of September. So just a sense of our agenda for today, we will kind of review the history of the PJTL programs, the different opportunities, student success stories, project examples, the partner startup companies that we've recruited for the 2026 cohort, and then more information about the application. Right. So Nick, I will kick it over to you for the history, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2016, as some of you might know, the University of Michigan partnered with the state of Michigan, the federal government, a variety of industry partners to create M-City, the Living Lab for Autonomous Vehicles, up on North Campus, where the water tower with the clouds on it is. So that was the impetus or the motivation for the CFE to launch a program to provide both startups and students access to this unique U of M resource. And so TechLab M-City was started in 2016 in the second semester. Now, over the years, we have had more than 54 companies participate, and we've expanded the programs with a lot of funding and support from our partners, venture capital firm Perot Jain, which is in part founded by U of M alum Anurag Jain. And so, with the funding that we received in 2022, the purpose was really to expand the original Tech Lab at M-City program into a series of other programs targeting industries such as the electrification of transportation, health tech, climate change, or carbon sequestration technologies, and the newest version, which we will showcase for you today, air and space. So with that funding, we also expanded greatly the resources that we're able to provide students, uh, the teams that are working on these projects in partnership with these startup companies that are really leading both technological milestone achievements as well as commercialization breakthroughs in various industries. What is unique about this program, other than the fact that students get to work directly with startups and actually lead projects, is that the resources involved in this program that are provided to students are really of a scale and of a standard that is industry sort of bleeding edge, but also something that you could see actually turn these projects into real world um, into something that is going to have positive impact in the very near term, like within the next 5 years. So some of those important resources that we're able to acquire are things like a Ford Mach-E Mustang, which we've also fitted in order to be completely drive-by-wire with a whole series of sensors and autonomous mobility features. Also, we have workspaces, the M-City garages at North Campus, as well as some space in the basement of the Duderstadt that is providing 24-hour access for students and their teams to work together, work alongside each other, and again, put as much time and effort as they can into these projects because these projects will have real-world impact and can lead to really interesting careers for students. We've had a very proud track record of success that is all centered around the advancement of the student and providing you a wonderful experience that you can't find at any other institution or really anywhere else at the University of Michigan. Since 2016, we've had over 350 students participate in the programming, with more than 100 graduates that have earned full-time positions in the target industries related to their PJTL projects or a similar field. But the success has not been just for students. Startups that have participated in the program have raised more than $400 million, and I believe it's actually a little bit closer to $500 million now, in additional funding while participating in the program. So the companies that are participating in the programs, the companies that we recruit for the PJTL series, really are at the very early stage, but they have a lot of promise in terms of traction with the market, their technological advantage over competitors, and the fact that they are strong teams that are in the process of growing and growing quickly. In fact, we've seen 11 companies that have participated in the program be acquired or IPO'd, go public, but essentially have a successful exit while participating in the program or shortly thereafter. And a lot of that has been uh, partially due to some of the work that students have done on these projects. We've also had 6 venture-backed companies that have been started by PJTL graduates, which we're exceptionally proud of. Now, not every student that participates in this program are we looking for you to be a founder or someone who really wants to start a company, found a company in, the next 5 years or something like that. However, these programs are very entrepreneurially focused. They must be because these companies are really at the, driving state-of-the-art technologies in emerging markets. And that type of experience is what we try to provide students in these programs.
Thank you, Nick. I'll take over just for a couple minutes, but Allison, Nick, Al, please feel free just to jump in if there's anything that I'm missing on any of these slides. But so we have recently spent the summer recruiting companies for our 2026 cohort. And now we are wanting to recruit you all to participate on these teams. So as I had mentioned earlier, the application is open through the 21st of September. And the commitment of the program, should you be admitted and committed to the program, will take place over 2 semesters. So it's a January 2026 3-credit hour class and then a fall 2026 3-credit hour class. Okay, this is good. So what can you expect with the class format? You will have 2 co-instructors in the class that teach and lecture with you all. They have industry experience. Some or most of them have started companies of their own, so they can bring that experience to you of how to be a technical leader in these types of spaces. You would also be paired with your company mentor that you would be meeting with for about an hour outside of class each week. And that would likely be on Zoom or some other kind of virtual format because a lot of these companies are, from around the globe. But you can expect to work about 10 hours of work outside of class, working on the project. Most of the work that you will be doing in the classes would be project-based homework. So there's not a ton of write-ups or anything that you have to do. There's a few journal entries and homework assignments that you will have to submit, but most of it is project-based when you would be regularly giving presentation updates to your class and getting feedback from your other classmates and your co-instructors. So there are in each one of these programs, which we will dive into deeper here shortly, there are 6 teams. So that means 6 different companies that we'll be working with and 4 students on each team. So that makes a nice close group of 24 students that you would be working with for a year. This is just a different format of frequently asked questions of that information that I just went over. But again, there will be, or not again, new information. There are guest speakers from industry that would be either Zooming into class or coming into class in person to speak with you all as well. Another great resource. Okay, so let's talk about the different industries that we have for these programs. We have our PJTL at M-City program, which Nick talked about. That's our longest running program, and that's for connected and autonomous vehicles. That class takes place on Tuesdays from 4:30 until 6:30. And the reason why, you know, we're kind of drilling in the class times right now, I know that it seems like in the future, you can worry about it in the future, but you want to make sure that you're blocking out that time in your schedule now for these classes. We also have the electrification of transportation, climate change and carbon sequestration and that sort of thing for climate change program, PJTL Health Tech, and then we are launching in January 2026, the Air and Space program. So that class time currently is TBD, but we should have more information regarding that shortly. Before I advance the slide, we'll be going over this in more detail shortly, but again, this is a 2-semester commitment, and as part of the application process, we ask that you please meet with either your graduate coordinator or your academic advisor to review the class credits to figure out where they would fit in your curriculum so that you can commit to this 6 credit hour expectation for this program. Oh, okay, conveniently, it's on the next slide. Who would have thought? Okay, so as part of the application, there will be a link in the top of the application that takes you to this dual program plan of study. I know it looks like a lot, but it's just a couple clicks. And you'll just fill out your information here and what program you're part of, if it's undergraduate, graduate, you know, how many credits you're taking per semester. And then you will work with your academic advisor to see like if that would count towards elective, cognate, if it's part of your actual home degree requirements, that sort of thing. So please don't wait until the last minute to do this because I'm sure it will take time to set up an appointment with your advisor, but it will be needed to apply for the program. Okay. Nick, Allison, do either one of you want to step in and talk, or Al? Yes, please.
I just want to say, are there any robotics students here or robot various students? We have some great projects coming up that I would love to talk to you after the session here. And I'd like to talk to any of you actually.
Yeah.
You're interested, I can maybe answer some more of your questions.
Perfect.
That was it.
Thanks, Al. All right. Nick, Allison, do you guys want to jump in about the instructors or?
Nick
want me
will
to
have
go on?
so
Okay.
much more to say, I'm sure, about each person, but what I think is really unique about the courses is that you're being taught by co-instructors, not really tenured faculty, but these are instructors who have launched businesses. They're true entrepreneurs themselves, and I think that's really unique about the course.
Mhm. Absolutely. We recruit folks that are very interested in teaching students as co-instructors about project management, product management, but largely how to manage these projects in terms of the communications with companies, communications among teammates, how to set them up so that they actually align and integrate well with commercialization and technology strategies for the various company partners. So the PJTL City instructors, we have Doug Moore, who is a longtime product manager and program manager at Ford Motor Company. And actually, recently, and I believe he's technically back at Ford Motor Company now, but he led a spin-off of Ford Motor Company, a startup itself in automotive security called Canopy, that was more than $100 million joint venture between Ford Motor Company and ADT, as well as some other autos. So Doug's had a long history, both as an alum of computer science programs at U of M, as an entrepreneur and someone leading really big, interesting product ideas. Eric Wingfield has led a series of successful startups, some that have exited over in Silicon Valley in the early 2000s, and is really a very visionary person when it comes to connected and autonomous vehicle technology. He is at the University of Michigan Transportation uh, Research Institute, or UMTRI, and is part of a whole bunch of projects that's working on sort of bringing various groups together to come up with new urban technologies and how do we actually apply these various connected and autonomous vehicle technologies in the real world. Our PJTL electrification instructors are Sarah Hipple, and this is her first year that she's instructing right now in her first semester. She's chief strategist for secure digital infrastructure for energy and mobility at the world famous NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and has a strong background in all the regulations and productizing commercialization strategies for electrification products, particularly in electric vehicle car charging. And Jay Ellis, who is the also an alum of U of M, the director of innovations for EV charging at Walmart. Previously, he was leading EV charging at Rivian, and also has had a series of startups in the connected autonomous vehicle space as well. For PJTL climate change, Stephen McCord will be teaching in his first semester. He's a research area specialist lead at the University of Michigan and is part of the Blue Sky Initiative related to carbon sequestration. And the other co-instructor is Ryan Waddington, who's been teaching this for a few semesters now. He's the CEO of Cowboy Clean Fuels and also a very active and prolific venture capitalist in the Ann Arbor and Michigan area. Our
Thanks,
PJ
Nick.
yeah. Our PJTL health tech instructors are Scott Mers, the former president and CEO of MC3 Cardiopulmonary, which is a company that actually created the newest version of the ECMO machine, which you might know is the intubator that was made famous during the COVID pandemic. He's been part of many medical device startups that have saved countless lives at this point. And also we have Michael Pizzano, who's the site head over at Northern Bio and former CEO of Anchor Biosolutions. Both Mike and Scott have a long history of entrepreneurship and leading startup companies in Michigan related to health tech. And for PJTL Air and Space, our newest program, we have Danny Ellis, who's the founder of SkySpecs, which you might have heard about, which is one of the most interesting companies to ever come out of Ann Arbor. They have raised more than $100 million, essentially taking drones. And this is something he started actually as a student here. He's also the founder of MAV, the student organization, which is where SkySpecs originated from. They use drones to actually do wind turbine analysis and inspection. And this has been a revolution for that entire industry. Danny's part of a whole bunch of different companies. He's a consultant for the drone space now. We are talking with a series of other folks who are going to be more related to space tech as an industry to be the other instructor for PJTL Air and Space.
Great, thank you so much. So, again, as you know, there's a lot of resources that come with these programs. It's certainly like a partnership with the different startup companies. You build a community within your cohorts and across all cohorts as well. And it will be very collaborative for you to be able to work with not only the companies, but students within your classroom. So as part of resource along those lines of building communities and just seeing what else is out there, you will have the opportunity to potentially participate on an entrepreneurial trek that will take place in May. So we go to 4 different cities, to Seattle, Boston, Washington, DC, or San Francisco, California. and I realize I worded that probably poorly. It's to one of those cities, not to all four within one trip. But this is typically a 3-night trek that you would participate on. And over that period of time, you would meet with 4 to 6 startup companies in various industries working on, novel technologies that are coming out of those cities. And you would also get the opportunity to meet with a ton of alumni that have started their own companies or just are connected and working in these different types of industries. So that is definitely something that a lot of students look forward to and, network and make a lot of connections. Alex and Nick, anything to add about the treks? I know that's I breezed over it, but it really is the highlight of a lot of students' experiences.
Yep. Oh, go ahead, Al.
I just said I had fun.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Awesome.
Just the one bit that I would add is that many of the companies that are participating more every year are actually hosting on the treks as well. So one of the wonderful things about participating in the PJTL programs is that often you actually get to go visit the company that you're participating with. Many of the companies we recruit, they come from the entire globe. And so often it's totally a remote engagement with students, or you might see them, the company mentors, once or twice throughout the project. But if you go on one of the treks, you'll have an opportunity likely to actually meet the company that you're participating with.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so just some student success stories out of the past most recent years of PJTL. Julianne here graduated in 2023, and she's working as a software engineer at a small company called H3D. Daphne, who actually is still very involved with the CFD and reached out to Nick and I just yesterday about being on campus next week, I think for some kind of recruiting event. She graduated in 2023 with her master's in computer science and worked in the at M-City program. But she is a robotics perception engineer at KEF Robotics. And then Ebby has recently graduated with his master's in mechanical engineering, and he was part of the electric fish team, and they hired him after 1 semester. So he was an intern there, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I believe he's still there.
Yeah, we actually have 2 students that were on the electric fish team. They've been hired full-time by Electric Fish, Bernard, and also Yaroslav. I'm blanking on his last name right now. But yeah, we've had a lot of companies that have actually wanted to hire students on the teams, which we're very happy about.
So as you may have noted in that timeline graphic that I showed, there's, the summer in between the 2 semesters is completely up to you what you want to do. I know a lot of you probably get internships, but it's not uncommon for these companies to say like, hey, we're going to be hiring interns. We think that you should apply for this opportunity. So that is something that could potentially come, into fruition. Okay. Al or Nick, I think I will call on you to talk a little bit about this Cocoon project, but this has been a project for 2.5 years that has seen many different student groups work on it, so.
Sure.
Okay,
Well, right now.
sure. Right now.
This was has occurred over a couple different cohorts. Their idea of what this company was to kind of do a low cost mapping system instead of having to do a digital twin of a city area or something like that, like we have M-City to do it, or we've done it. The students have actually gone down into Detroit and worked at Detroit Central building to take data, but rather than use the very kind of expensive LiDAR mapping of the whole place, they're just using cameras mounted on the top of a car. And in this case, it's they're using 6 cameras to get a 360-degree view around the vehicle, and they use a mapping technique called Nick, I'm losing the
Gaussian
Gaussian.
splat.
splat.
Gotcha.
That's the thing. To put together a digital twin, do we have another slide for this or?
We do.
Yeah, and you can see that this was an exercise in learning by the teams. The first team that did initially the design of the project decided they wanted to put 6 cameras on top of the car, so they put it on they put them all on a metal plate that was square, sat on the roof. The next team tried to use that. The cameras, they were kind of close together, and right, it's concentrated on the top. And they couldn't see the ground in front of them because of the hood, and they couldn't see the rear because of the back of the vehicle, so view was very restricted by doing that. So kind of what we, second team learned was, you know, how do, that's a problem, we're gonna have to change that. So they went through an exercise of saying, well, if I raise that platform up, does that make it better? And it did a little bit, but not very well. And finally, they decided that it wasn't important that they were all exactly, what would it be, 60 degrees apart. It was more important that the images overlapped, so they didn't have to be on a fixed platform. So they just took suction cup mounts and put them on the corners of the vehicle, just made sure all the images overlapped with each other so they could combine them all. And that worked great. So that was like a process of learning that they went through, which I think was very valuable.
Yeah. I think thank you, something to note with these projects is that, you know, there's a starting point for the project scope, right? Like the company will present something to you and you'll work the first couple of months to kind of figure out what you as the students and want to work on, because depending on what type of backgrounds each of you have, that will make your team unique in and of itself. Like not every single person is going to be a robotics major, and not every single person is going to be a School of Information student that's working on some kind of user experience. So you will determine the scope of the project, and this project was a really unique circumstance, and it still is. I think that this is the last semester that it's happening, but you know, that has to do with hardware, right? And their experimenting with it. But now they're trying to figure out how to stitch those images together. So it's more so the like software side of things. So I will make a quick note here too, that a lot of our projects, I think particularly in electrification and at M City, can be, you know, hardware and software. Whereas climate change and health tech might be a little bit more geared towards, you know, software and that sort of thing, but not to say that it's only software. There could be some hard tech in there as well. Making sense a little bit. Did not want to do this.
Move it around.
That's their digital twin of the garage
Okay,
area.
bear with me.
Pretty good.
Something else I'd like to point out is Krista is
Yeah.
manipulating the Gaussian splat product here, is that projects like this are often projects that during the time students are working on them can connect directly with what regional interests are or other companies, partnerships, different things like that. In the case of this project, students did get so far with the Gaussian splatter technique that they're actually able to start making Gaussian splats or digital twins of the Michigan Central train station and the new lab building and the parking deck with that in downtown Detroit. That's part of what's called the Transportation Innovation Zone, where they are trying new electric charging opportunities and different mobility opportunities. But essentially, that was part of the students showcasing that the technology that they helped to validate and demonstrate could actually be used for upcoming partners and potential customers of Capoon, which is a really, really, really important engagement. How often do you get a chance to work on a project with a startup and actually be part of the developmental program that is going to say, okay, we can take this to a potential customer and showcase that it actually has value today? That's really impressive work by the students.
Thank you. All right, we are right at halfway through, so I think we have time to kind of talk a little bit about the projects for each cohort, but towards the end of these slides with the company logos, I will show you where you can find a summary of what the project scope or proposals are. Because just because you are interested in, one project at PJTL at M-City doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't apply to multiple programs that might be looking for your same skill set. So Nick, are you tired of talking, or can you talk a little bit about some of these companies?
No, I'm happy to talk about these companies.
Okay, thank you.
Don't ever get tired of talking about these companies.
Okay.
For PJTL at M-City, we've got an exciting group of 6 here for you. So Cadoo Systems, which is a spinoff of University of Michigan, we're very proud of. Faculty members and grad students came together to found Cadoo Systems. And essentially, it is working on this software called Argus that they've developed, which is AI reasoning with global understanding system, which enables full autonomy by shifting intelligence from individual robots to a centralized infrastructure, or think of hive mind. So for this particular project, they're asking students to help build and validate a proof of concept for the software system that they've developed. So you can imagine as a student team working with a series of relatively low fidelity, low tech robots, but then proving out that the Argus system that Cadoo has developed is something that can control the robots, maybe also communicating with autonomous vehicles or with other systems that you could find in a factory setting. Snowbotics is another company that is coming out of Detroit, and they are developing an all-electric AI-powered robot to remove snow from sidewalks, streets, and pathways. And so for this project, they're asking students to demonstrate a proof of concept system for their fully autonomous outdoor robot for wireless docking and charging, which is very important to them. They have a wireless docking and charging system that they use, but it needs very precise uh, movement, very precise positioning of the robot in order to actually charge. And so that's what they want students to sort of validate, demonstrate, and ultimately optimize. NIFT, which is an engineering services partner that has a bunch of people that are also working with M-City on a larger project that we're calling Depot Autonomy. Essentially, how do you develop autonomous systems that fit inside a factory setting, like a closed environment? They are producing, which should be delivered any day now, a fully autonomous skateboard. And that skateboard system, which is relatively large, it can carry people and such. The students are actually developing processes about how to integrate that with the depot autonomy projects that M-City is working on. So think about things like in, designing and installing and validating emergency braking systems or communication systems that are connect with things like computer vision systems that exist in the infrastructure as like legacy devices such as security cameras and so on and so forth. There's a lot of flexibility in this project for students to lead it the way that they would like to. And Al is actually one of the mentors for that project. If you're interested, take some time today to talk to Al about it. Trube AI, which is a new company. It's an AI-powered urban mobility platform advancing efficient, sustainable, and user-focused city transportation systems. This is a really complicated, ambitious project in which Trube AI they've created essentially an engine, an AI-powered engine that will provide urban managers, people that develop things like intersections and signage for intersections, um, it's going to make recommendations for how to make them safer for pedestrians and vulnerable road users. So for this project, they're asking students to take data from M-City and UMTRI from an actual intersection, relate that data to an intersection of interest in Detroit in the Transportation Innovation Zone, demonstrate at M-City the advancements that the Trube AI engine recommends to make it a safer intersection, and then actually demonstrate those changes at the Transportation Innovation Zone in the city of Detroit. Really neat project. VTI Aerospace is actually a drone company, but think of PJTL at M-City as purely about mobility and autonomy. And so VTI Aerospace, founded by U of M alum Eric Meir from Bozeman, Montana. They're a startup that is essentially working on advanced software and perception systems for both manned and unmanned aerial vehicles. And so for this project, and this will be the second year of this project, students are going to develop a small drone sensor payload to enable autonomous real-time navigation and perception tasks. There's a lot of flexibility again in this. Students are going to have a lot of autonomy to say this is the type of sensor system they would like to use in order to collect this type of information and work directly with the company on that project. And last but not least, we have GetGot Robotics. This will be the second year of the program for GetGot as well. They are a company that is developing collision avoidance systems for micromobility vehicles like scooters, like Razor scooters or spin scooters. So this project is asking students to take millimeter wave radar enabled collision avoidance systems and pass that information to the user of the actual scooter. So collecting information from the millimeter wave radar, which is not easy, translating that into object detection, and then translating that object detection analysis into real-time display for the actual user.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
Can I throw in an FAQ?
Yes.
So, Krista, I really am excited about M-City and the chance to get to work there. Do I have to apply to Perot Jain TechLab at M-City to get access to M-City? And do you want me to answer it?
Yes.
Even though I said Krista, all of our programs have access to M-City. They have access to the garages to do the work. I would say that this tech lab at M-City and the electrification tech lab are very closely related to the entity of M-City.
Thank you, Allison. Before we move on to electrification, I will just click here. You all will have access and probably have seen this before. Some of you are in it. But this gives you a nice snapshot of all of the company projects by program. So as we mentioned at the beginning, each program is, tied to a class. So it's a different class time for each program, but you will be able to see like the different student skills and interests listed here. So there could be crossover between what you're looking for and contributing to between programs. So I will get back out of there. Here. Okay. Electrification.
Okay, I'm going to go a little more
Yes,
quick.
that's fine. You don't have to go in great detail. That's good.
Great. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 companies that are identified as of right now, but we are recruiting a 6th. Arbor Battery Innovations, they're in their second year. Students are going to be working with this U of M spinoff to actually work on the lithium iron phosphate. Is it lithium iron phosphate? I'm sorry, they're doing cathode or electrode, battery electrode innovation. So students will actually be developing batteries and such with this one, as they will with the Emerald Battery Systems Labs project. That's a company out of Seattle. They're working on sodium batteries. So very interesting stuff. Rolly is a company out of Finland that is working on developing, demonstrating, deploying robots that are essentially filled with batteries. They charge up at a central location, and then if you park in a parking lot, the robot will come up to your car if you have an electric vehicle and actually start charging your car. Dominion is a company out of Nairobi in Africa, in Kenya, and they are producing an electric motorcycle and a charging system that is going to be universal. So they don't have a lot of charging infrastructure in Kenya right now. So the purpose of this project is to demonstrate and validate the charging system that you could charge up at sort of any type of outlet in Kenya. And then we also have Spark App, which is a company that has developed a super app, as they're calling it, that connects everything from electric charging infrastructure information to vehicle information to scooters, micromobility, all the electric infrastructure on one app.
All right, climate change.
Okay. Next up is climate change. We've got 4 companies involved in this program right now, but one company, Icados, actually has 2 projects. So first, let's talk about Up Catalyst. So this is a company that is essentially pioneering sustainable carbon materials, converting CO2 emissions into graphite and other battery-grade materials. Icados is a German-based subject matter expert in decarbonization through e-methanol production, or essentially taking industrial byproducts and turning them into usable products like methanol through carbon capture. So there's 2 projects, one with a vaporization e-methanol process and another, or valorization e-methanol process, and another that is going to be a market study of that process, essentially. Oculus Energy, a climate tech startup advancing a breakthrough electrochemical process for converting CO2 also into another type of methanol, green methanol. And then Blue Shift, an AI-powered clean tech startup developing autonomous low capital expenditure electrochemical systems to dramatically lower the cost of mining different materials like coal, fly ash, and other things.
And I think one thing to note is from Blue Shift, the mentor that you would be working with was a PJTL student. She did the climate change program, so kind of full circle. All right, health tech.
All right. For health tech, we have all 6 companies that are in the current cohort are returning. So these projects are essentially continuations of the current projects, in case you talk to anybody, any student that is currently in the program. Uh, APHIS is actually founded by U of M alumni, Taiwan-based healthcare startup that is developing dashboards based on, well, they're AI-enabled dashboards for various medical professionals like nurses, doctors to take in patient information and use it for a whole bunch of different services. GigXR is a leader in medical and healthcare education, and they're actually using virtual and augmented reality patients and training scenarios that the students are working on in this project. Hippo Technologies is they've developed an interesting way to take telehealth diagnostic information from a variety of different pieces of equipment like EKGs, stethoscopes, so on and so forth, and then actually pass that on to specialists through their various technology, uh, through their interoperability engine, as they call it. Medical Technologies is developing like a little patch that goes on part of the heart after or during heart ablation surgery. And it's actually to cool using Peltier cooling a very small area of the heart in order to sort of reduce any issues on the tissue during this heart ablation surgery. And then Life Magnetics has developed a new graphene molecule that they're using for the development of a transfection kit for RNA science. And then last but not least, we have Ride Your Way, which is out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. They are non-emergency patient transportation for things like need to pick somebody up to take them to the hospital or from the hospital. But they're working with Michigan Medicine to develop a way to optimize how patients get to and from the hospital in non-emergency situations.
And then last but not least, as
Oh,
mentioned, oh, yeah, we,
would you mind refreshing real quick?
logo, it's the wrong logo, sorry, but this is gonna be Air and Space. So this is the new program that, we are starting in January 2026.
Okay. So Blue Flight is a drone company out of Brighton, Michigan. They develop a long-range drone, relatively high-capacity payload drone, and so they're going to be working with students on a project that is associated with a different type of like tilting mechanism for their rotors, or optimization of flight. Now, we have a series of other companies that we're talking to right now that are going to be part of the program. Raptor Maps, which is doing solar farm inspection via drones. SkyGig, which is doing wireless communications between autonomous drones and autonomous vehicles. Airspace Link, which is essentially creating a sort of a net of communications. They're like an air traffic controller for drones, but also connecting drones with emergency vehicles and possibly even satellites. So we have a series of drone companies. We're also going to have a series of space tech companies. And the one that I'm very excited to talk about is Firefly Aerospace. You might have seen them. They were in the news last year. They're the first private company to land a spacecraft on the moon, which they did again last year. They have deep University of Michigan ties. And the mentor for that program is going to be Thomas Zurbuchen, who is the founder of the CFE. And also, he was the last administrator of NASA, like the chief of NASA. And if you can believe it, the project is going to be to develop and launch the bicentennial time capsule for U of M and place it where else but on the moon.
You got some smiles out of that one then. Awesome, thank you. I know that that was a lot of information, but we hope that that kind of gives you some insight into these exciting projects that you would be able to participate in. Again, you know, not only software, but hardware, depending on where your interest lies. So I know we are nearing the end of our time together, and you're probably like, okay, this is great information. Now what do I do? So this program is open for all students across campus to apply to. We've had first year students through PhD students in our programs. I will say that probably upperclassmen have are more likely to be recruited for these programs, but it's not unheard of to be a first year or second year student. You must be able to complete the 3 credit hours for both semesters. So as I had mentioned, start those conversations with your advisor or your graduate coordinator now so that you can see if this is a possibility for you. Let's see here. Great segue. So that the dual program plan of study will be required to be uploaded in your application. Following this meeting, I will send an email to all of you with this recording and the link to the projects, the plan of study, and then all of the applications. Again, we encourage you to please apply to multiple programs. Your skills can certainly fit, you know, across the 5 different programs, depending on what you're looking to utilize. You will be required to submit a cover letter and a resume. In your cover letter, please highlight the your experiences, your skills, and how you're looking forward to or able to contribute to these types of projects. Okay, so coming up, this is due in about a week and a half, so you have some time. Today, you guys are going to reach out to your advisor or graduate coordinator to make sure that this will fit into your plan. I do want to know, okay, a little bit about the process for review and for interviewing. Applications will close on the 21st. You probably won't hear from us for about a week or 2 because we will be reviewing the applications, and then the companies will see your applications as well to select those of you that they want to interview. So as part of the application, you will rank the companies of interest per that program based on who you're most interested in. And that kind of helps the companies see your interest as well. We will invite for interviews probably in early October, but if you don't receive an email first thing early October, please know that these are rolling. So you could be reached out to later in October or, you know, possibly the end of October. We plan to have the cohort announced mid-November. So that's just a little bit about the timeline. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And I think now is a wonderful time to open it up to Q&A.
Let me make one comment too, just
Yes.
before the questions. Chris might have mentioned this in passing, but we all highly encourage you to apply for as many of the PJTLs as you can. It is beneficial for you to apply to multiple. Don't think that putting your name for one PJTL is going to be something that we're going to look at and say, okay, well, they've only applied to one, therefore we have to put them in this spot or something like that. It's it's something that we would rather see you applying your skills to a variety of different opportunities than sort of pigeonholing yourself. So if you have any questions about that, of course, reach out and you've got our contact info there.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Burning questions. Let's go.
There is
Careers.
one in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready? What are
Sure.
some qualities or experiences that successful applicants typically have, both in general and specifically for those applying to health tech?
Mm.
Okay, so what do we look for generally in terms of students that would fit well on the project teams and do well in this program? There's a couple things. First, we do have on that sheet that Krista passed along and will be sent to you after this as well, a series of student skills and interests that are of note for each of the projects. In your cover letter, resume, and your essay answers on each of the applications, please use that language, especially if you have very specific skills or experiences related to column E right there. Make note of that. That's kind of like a minimum bar, I'd say. We're certainly looking for students that have strong personal motivation related to the projects. So, are you someone that is motivated not just to see the project succeed because it would be important for your grade or for your experience as an undergrad or grad student? We would like to see that you have something that really motivates you beyond that, that would sort of compel you to go above and beyond. So you really want to see this product be successful. You really want to experience this because your career path is related to this in some fashion. The last thing I'd say, and Allison, Krista, and Al, feel free to jump into on this. Um, I think we like to see when students have identified the team working environments they've been in and how they've contributed on those teams. We interview a lot of students for this program, as you might imagine, but we also want to see in your written responses, your resume, your cover letter, and your essays, how do you best do your best work? How are you proud of the work, particularly in team environments?
That was the point that I was going to make, was certainly teamwork. As mentioned, you scope these projects alongside your teammates, but you're not going to be assigned XYZ role. That's going to be up to you and your teammates. So you need to be able to communicate with your fellow teammates to ensure that you are contributing to how you'd like to contribute, and you guys are covering all bases. So being able to work in teams, yes, is a very important aspect to these programs. Al.
Yeah, I like to think of you guys as working, the four people, working as kind of an engineering consulting firm of your own. You're working for the mentor company. You're not interning with them. They're not telling you, you do this, you do this. That's not the way it works. So there's room for growth for you in project leadership type skills, communication type skills, which as an engineer, when I got out of school, I never learned anything about that kind of stuff, really. But I discovered quickly that that's half or more than the job. You have to be able to work in a team, communicate, and if you can lead a project by having an understanding of all the aspects, being able to communicate, that will be a place where you to really shine.
Awesome. Thank you. Other questions online or in person?
Can we talk about the diversity of the schools represented in Tech Lab? I just looked up health tech to answer that question, and there are definitely students in there from the College of Engineering. However, there's a bunch of LS&A, there's a public health student, there's a student who came back to school after being a nurse. There's School of Information students. Over in climate change, there's sustainability students. So it can be very diverse.
Yeah.
In practice, we know that the mobility M-City program and the electrification programs are pretty techy. so computer science and engineering. But the others, I think, are inherently more diverse.
Perfect. Thank you, Allison. There was a question here.
Yeah, I was wondering if, as far as the placement process, following the ranking, does that occur after the interview where we'll be assessed and then placed from there, or is it a different sort of process?
So in the application, let's just say that you're applying to PJTL climate change. There are 5 different projects listed on this sheet here. Let's see. So you will rank 1 through 5 for these, and the companies will be able to see that, we'll be able to see that. Of course, you know, like, let's say that you get chosen to interview with Up Catalyst because that was your #1 choice. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily out of the running for the other projects, because depending what the companies are looking for, you could have multiple interviews with different companies, not only within PJTL climate change, but also across all 5 of the programs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
So I know there's like a cover letter component and an essay component.
yes.
That's like a lot of space to kind of talk about yourself. So how would you suggest we format it? So we both talk about ourselves and like the specific companies that we want to like work at.
Sure.
So there's like no overlap.
Yep. I would say that the cover letter is certainly where you could include some information about like specific companies or skills that they're seeking. Whereas the essays or the you know, long summary answers that you will be providing are more specific, like examples for those questions that they're asking.
Can I just add one more
Yes.
thing? So you said we have to rank like the 6 companies for the cohort that we're wanting to work at.
Correct.
On the cover letter, should we talk about all 6, or can we just maybe pick 1 or 2 that are our favorites?
You could pick 1 or 2. I think that, you know, certainly keeping an open mind too, just in case, you know, there's multiple companies, because they will see that information as well. Nick, Allison, any advice as to that? No.
Let's see what Nick says. I think that if you can include keywords and even a sentence about why working with Up Catalyst matches something you're interested in, I think that's a great thing to highlight. You know, and I'm just using that as an example, but mention 1 or 2 and then don't discount the rest of them and say, you know,
Yeah.
still say, but I'm eager to apply these skills to any project.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit additional recommendation about sort of how to organize all of your various answers, your materials that you'll supply to us. So I agree with what Allison said. I like to see the resume be about your experience, what you've done, what you have learned along the way, what you've gained, what you've been part of. I think the cover letter can be telling the story about why you did these things, what you plan to get out of your experience with PJTL, um, what how you like to work, what you've learned about yourself along the way, and why you think you'd be an exceptional teammate on one of these project teams. I think the essays you can use to go into depth about how you work on teams. And I think when you organize it that way, it's pretty easy for the person who is assessing the packet of information that you're providing them, that they can see, okay, this cover letter is what I'm going to read first, and it's about what this person's all about, what's motivating them, what they want to get out of this, and then a little bit about how they got here. The resume is credibility to back up your cover letter, and then the essays are a little in depth, like, okay, so now you know about the person, their motivation, and their background, but these essays are really going to be something that tells you what's sort of special about the way they work or something like that.
Other questions? Yes.
Do these count as graduate level credits?
Yes. Yep, it's for undergraduate or graduate students. It is listed as a 490 class, but 490 counts towards graduate degrees as well. But that's something that you would want to talk to your graduate coordinator about as well. Okay. Thank you all for attending. We will be here to answer questions. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. but I will be following up here shortly with lots of information. Okay, thank you.
I can answer that question really quickly for Ideal. Could this count as credit for SUGS? We have had students take the first semester of PJTL as a senior undergraduate student, and then for SUGS, the second semester they actually take as one of their SUGS semesters. So it is possible. Big part of the reason why Krista was emphasizing the dual program enrollment sheet and for you all to talk to your advisors about this is because every program is a little bit different. You should plan as best you can with your academic advisor about how to use these credits toward your graduation or graduations and ultimately how PJTL fits into your schedule.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Have a great day.